Hey everybody, Desert Rambler here. Today I'm going to be taking a look at some recovery gear, what I use, what I think are some of the basic things you may want to carry with you for overlanding and off-roading. So this video is not going to be an in-depth instructional video of how to use the items, but more just an idea of what I use and may get you thinking about some things that you may want to carry with you. First off, I will talk about things that are actually on the vehicle to help you with a recovery, and then I will head inside where it's a little quieter from all this road traffic and take a look at some of the other items. So I'm going to show you what I have on the Jeep right now. Let's take a look. So first off, it's pretty obvious if you've seen any of my videos what kind of vehicle I have, and of course a winch is one of your most common recovery accessories, and there isn't really much to say about it other than that if you have the means to mount a winch, it's definitely something to consider. I know there are a lot of folks that have overlanded for years in all types of conditions and never used one, but for the most part I think all the experts would agree it's pretty nice to have, and not only just for yourself, but when you're thinking about helping somebody else out, it's really nice to have. So this is a Warn winch here, and moving on to another item on the Jeep is the high lift jack. Now you may be thinking, well, how's that a recovery item? Well, you can use these in many different ways besides just lifting your vehicle to do a repair. So it could be using it to lift it up to get some rocks underneath the tires, so you can get some clearance if you're hung up on your differential or axle there. There are ways that you can hook a chain to the lifting foot here and use this thing horizontal, and you can basically do the same thing as a winch. And again, I'm not going to go over how to do that. These jacks are a mixed opinion on whether you should have these. It's good, but you definitely need some training on how to use them. They can be dangerous. Also, you see up here I've got a shovel mounted, and I also carry another shovel that I'll show you in a little bit. So in addition, for recovery points, I have the 2-inch receiver here, and there's also one in the back here. So the other one back here, and you can hook your stinger in there that has the D-ring on it. So I'll take a look at that in a minute. Okay, here we are up in the quiet of the secret Desert Rambler headquarters, and taking a look at the gear that I carry on my overlanding off-road camping trips, whatever you want to call it. So I'll just jump right into it, start here at the basics. Of course, you saw a shovel on the Jeep. That one just kind of stays there, and it's always nice to have a couple different shovels, especially if you're with somebody. But I do have another system here that I really like, and this is the Helios tool. And this device here, I just can't speak highly enough of. It is super high quality, and this is also a really nice camping device. It has many different functions besides just a shovel. It can be set up as a pick like this here, and you tighten this down. It can be made into a shovel. It has a saw blade, very sharp on here, rope cutter, and some wrench sizes there. Here's a bottle opener. Of course, you got to have that. And this thing here unscrews, and you can just add these handles on here and get this whatever length you like. So that's really great to have. And I just can't say enough about how quality this is. And they're fairly expensive, but it's definitely a worthwhile tool, a lifetime tool. So moving on here, whenever you're doing any kind of recovery, oftentimes you have to jack a vehicle up, or you have to get underneath it. It really pays to have a wheel chock with you. Now, of course, you could find a log or a rock or something, but often not available. I do carry this one with me all the time. This is an RV wheel chock by Camco, and definitely have one or two of those around. Another shovel. Now this would be for wintertime use mainly, but if you wanted to carry something like this, it could be used in the sand. Now this is a high quality. Basically, it comes apart to a real small size, and this would be for winter trekking, and it's very, very thick, heavy duty plastic. So guys that are out in the winter up where there's very deep snow, this is really handy to have, but it will also take care of sand as well. This here is a support base for the high lift jack that you saw on the Jeep. Definitely want to have one of these, and it just gives you the stability that you just don't have with the normal base. A lot of people will use a piece of wood or whatever. That's fine. I just like this here because it just has the right shape to hold it really secure, and in addition you can pin the base down. You can do, it's got these little teeth over here. It's just all kinds of different advantages to having the actual base that's made by High Lift. So over here, I mentioned the recovery points that I have on the Jeep, the front and rear 2-inch receiver. So this set here is from Rhino, and this would go into your 2-inch receiver. There are different sizes available. I think 1.5 is another common size for smaller vehicles. But you need something on your vehicle to let you be recovered, rather than having to rely on somebody trying to get something around one of your axles or what have you. I mean, with modern vehicles, they just don't have traditional bumpers anymore, and you really can't be yanking on stuff underneath without seriously damaging the vehicle. And you may not be stuck enough to warrant having something destroyed. You just need a proper recovery point to get yourself out. So look into the options that are available for your particular vehicle, and see if you can get something set up to where you can have some of these D-ring shackles, at least one on the front, one on the rear mounted. But obviously for the Jeep, it's very easy to do that. So, okay, I also carry this Rhino snatch block here. Now, this is for use with the winch. So if you're not going to have a winch, then there's really no point to have this. But without going into a lot of detail, because there's a million videos online, what these are for, how to use them. But this does two things. One, it can help increase the pulling power of your winch, kind of like a block and tackle would. And or it can be also used to allow you to pull things where the vehicle can't get right in front of you. A vehicle may have to be off to the side. So this would allow the winch, cable to be coming, this way towards your vehicle, but it will go through here and it can head to another direction where a vehicle's over here, and this would be attached to some other point. It could be another vehicle further away, or it could be a tree or what have you, and you would use a chain and a strap of various types to allow you to get over to a tree. Here's a tree saver here that would strap around a tree. So that's what this is for. Not going to go into any detail, but I do carry it. So moving up to on top of the chest here, These are some really neat items. This is made by High Lift, called LiftMate. Now what this is for here is this attaches to the high lift jack, and it allows you to hook these onto the spokes of a steel rim, and you can get your tire up off the ground. Now on specialized off-road vehicles that have a long travel suspension, if you try to get a tire up off the ground, either to get some rocks underneath it, or if you are trying to get the differential that's hung up on a rock off, you can't lift on the body or the bumper and get much result because the suspension is extending while you're lifting. So you would have to go way too high up, and either your jack will run out of travel, or you'll get yourself into a dangerous situation with the jack up too high. So you need to actually be compressing that suspension. The only way to do it is to get that wheel going up, or the axle going up, and this here allows you to do that. Now that's one of the main reasons why I have steel El Cheapo rims on the Jeep, is that I'm not going to worry about any slight damage or scratching or what have you from using a device like this, or a chain, which will also do a similar thing. It's just something to think about, when you go out and do your wheel selection. I also carry, this is a 10 foot of 5/16 grade 70. It's called transport chain. And there are so many uses for having this. It's very heavy. That's why I only have 10 feet of it. And it has forged grab hooks. Now, when you look at a chain, you've got two different types of hooks, and you want to get one that has the grab hooks as opposed to this type of hook, all right, which is just a regular eye hook. So this here actually allows the load, if I can do this one-handed, it allows it to grab onto a link of the chain that would slide right up in there. And that way you can make a loop around something and it's going to hold. And traditionally these are found in transport on semi-trucks, or anywhere you're doing a load that has to be bound down and tightened. You're hauling a tractor or a forklift, what have you. So I have this to, one, use in conjunction with the snatch block. I can reach out further away to something and hook it around something. This could be hooked around many different things, and then extend it out with one of my other straps to get this block to where I need to be, or even to help tow another vehicle, or there's a million different things you could do with that. So but one really neat device that does use that chain as well is this Safe Jack secure lifter here. So this attaches to the high lift jack. It pins in here, and I'll show that on the vehicle towards the end of the video a little bit later on. But what this says here is allow you to lift many different shaped items that the foot of that jack is just not big enough or long enough or safe enough to lift. So the chain goes over and through these loops here, and then you can loop the chain down and around whatever it is that you're lifting. So it allows you to lift something that's below the jack foot level. So you could lift something up if you were in a rut and the jack had to go up on this, and you're up on a bank somewhere, and you had to reach down with the chain and lift something up, like your wheel or what have you. This allows you to do that safely. Or if you have an odd shaped bumper, like I do, I have round bumpers, it would allow you to get that chain anywhere along there on that round bumper and lift it up securely, which would be very dangerous with the just the traditional little bar on that high lift jack. So safe jack, secure lifter, I think they're about 80 bucks. Moving back up here, I've got a traditional toe strap here, and you may wonder, well, why do I have that when I have all this other stuff? I had this for a long time. I don't really need to throw it away or get rid of it, and it's a cheap one, and I just keep this in case I run into some motorist out there that's in a rental car and they just need a quick tow somewhere. I don't need to pull out and do a bunch of different shackles and all kinds of things, so it just has the hooks already on it, and maybe I can hook that on something underneath the vehicle and just tow them out. So that's why I keep it. Doesn't take up any space. Okay, we have a kinetic recovery rope here, and this one happens to be a Mighty brand. It's a 3/4, and without going into really any detail about recovery ropes, the most important thing to remember is, these are sized for your vehicle weight, not the vehicle that you're pulling out. So the rope has to absorb the energy of your vehicle while you're pulling, and then it releases it slowly to help the stuck vehicle come out. And so there's some misinformation on the internet about sizing these, but the professional legitimate companies have the right information on there, and you size it based on your vehicle weight, not the one that you're pulling out. So a quick analogy of how these work. Imagine if you had a boot like this on your foot and this gets stuck in the mud. So if you just try to jerk your foot out of the mud as quick and as sharp as you can, this boot is going to stay in the mud because of the suction, and your leg and foot will likely just come out the top. That would be the equivalent of using just a rigid strap like this, or this big long one here that doesn't have any stretch to it. That would be the equivalent of that. You're just jerking all of a sudden, and there's no slow pull to get that boot out of your mud. So the kinetic rope would be the equivalent of your boots in the mud, and you just slowly start pulling out of the mud, waiting for that suction to release, and then you pop out. That is what the recovery rope is doing. It's giving you that slow pull, releasing all that energy you just stored into it, and getting the vehicle out. So there's plenty of videos online how to use those. Not going to go into that here, but I do carry one, and again, you base it on the size of your vehicle. This here is a Rhino tree saver. Again, it's pretty much does what it says. You wrap it around a tree, and rather than having a chain or something that could really damage a nice tree, this just helps you out. This could also get wrapped around anything else as well that you needed to pull against. And this kit also just happened to come with a really long toe strap. So once you've used your recovery rope and gotten the vehicle out, and if that vehicle was still out of commission, you would switch over to a real long one like this, so you don't damage this, get this abraded and full of mud and water, whatever. These are really expensive. These are not. And lastly, on this recovery gear tour, underneath here you can see I've got a traction board, and I do have two of these. I'm just showing one here, and it's pretty obvious what those do. They're very popular to be displayed on the outside of your overland vehicle. A lot of people don't even carry them. I think having it for snow would be great, and if you're going to be anywhere near deep sand, other than that, honestly, you could probably skip it. And they are a little inconvenient to mount. They look cool on a roof rack or on the back. All right, we're out here at the Jeep again. Let's take a look at this item here first. So, as I mentioned earlier, one of the advantages of steel wheels is you don't really worry about them too much. They're not expensive. And this device here, which is the high lift mate, just gets put through one of the spokes there, the holes, whatever you have. And this goes up against here. Of course, this would be attached to the high lift jack on this foot here. And you can lift this tire up, which will compress your suspension. That allows you to get a block or a jack stand underneath your axle, or if you were trying to use this for recovery and you were stuck in a hole or couldn't get up a large boulder that was in front of your tire, you could stack things underneath your tire and then lower it back down. So that's one of the things you could do with that. Over here, just an example of how you could use the Safe Jack secure lifter. So since I have these round bumpers, it's not really safe to put that jack foot under there to do any kind of lifting. So just as an example here, this of course again is attached to the high lift, but I've got this chain around here, and you see the chain goes both directions and locks in. So then you'd be able to lift this bumper up. So just one of the few ways that could be used. And you can get more information about that on their website. So in conclusion, I hope you have seen something here that maybe you weren't aware of that could help you out. If you see anything that you think I should carry or purchase for my kit, let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.